to let you know, people out there, I met Linda under rather tragic circumstances about 15 years ago. And I'm being very honest, telling people what happened to me. And as a result, this is the result of the show. And Linda, you probably don't remember because you read so many people. My daughter was cremated. And when I walked in, the first thing you said was, I smell ashes. That was nowhere. That was nowhere, anywhere, like Facebook. I wasn't on Facebook. And the other thing was, and you said, I know that you lost a child, and maybe it's just because I know you lost a child. I keep getting this thought in my head, or somebody's putting in my head, say Princess and the P. Well, the irony was, I used to talk to my daughter because she had significant problems that we took her to psychologists and things. It just didn't work. And I used to say to her when I get frustrated, oh, you're like the Princess and the Pea, little things don't bother other people. You can't stand it. You can't get over it. And 2 days before that, I had gone out and I found a Princess and the Pea charm for a Pandora bracelet and bought it. I did not have it on when I came to your house. So it was just like those two things resonated, like, this is the real deal. This is the real deal. So, we talked a little, but have you always had, I think you had it, your family, you have a line in your family that has this sensitivity. Yes?
Yes, it is in my entire line. Both of my grandmothers, aunts, my own mother had it, but was afraid of it. And I never thought it was abnormal because I didn't have a Leave It to Beaver childhood.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it was laden with a lot of alcoholism and abuse and fights. And I used to go into my closet and I would talk to my brother, Jimmy. And I would tell him, if you were here, you would save me. The problem is I didn't have a brother Jimmy. So fast forward, when my twins were born, I believe they were about 2 years old, and my mother was here at my house behind a newspaper. And I said to her, Mom, was there anything unusual about my birth? And she quickly brought the newspaper down and she said, oh, did I ever tell you you were supposed to be a twin? I lost him at 3 months old. No, Mom, I'm 40. It took you this long to tell me.
And I think I've got an imaginary friend. Yeah, I mean, and there he is.
Exactly.
3 months. So he was born.
Real.
He was real. He was born. He wasn't. You're not the only one I've ever heard this story from. I have a nephew in the family who kept telling his mother, I guess mothers don't mention those tragedies to the child that survived, maybe not to give guilt or something, like you survived, he or she didn't. I don't know. But Keith kept telling his mother, I'm missing something. I feel that I'm missing something. There's something. She finally said, you were a twin. And it's like, that's it. That's it. Because I think
my mother passed 16 years ago on the 27th, and right after she passed, maybe within the first 6 months after she passed away, I had this very vivid dream. And when I dream, I do go to the other side. And I was in my parents' house, and my mother and father were packing. They were in the kitchen, they were packing, and I saw a young man standing there. And all of a sudden, he turned around and he looked at me, and he came face to face with me. And I looked at him. It's going to make me cry.
And now, and I said, you know what he looks like? Yeah.
I said, you're Jimmy, aren't you? And he said, yes, I am. And I said, you're beautiful. Can I hug you?
Yeah.
And he said, yes, you can. He just looked at me. The communication when you dream like that is not like you and I talking. It's a mental thing. We can read each other's minds. And I kept staring at him. And then I said in my mind, can I hug you one more time? And he said, yes. And I laid my head on his chest. And then he turned around and he left. And that was my personal validation that he'd been real all those years.
And so, the connection that's still there. And here, how many years ago, I'm not going to tell anybody how old we are, but, And you still weep when you talk about, I mean, it's a connection, it's just not something
It's a
you get over.
connection.
You still weep when you think about those people or what you missed or, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
When did you start reading people, Linda? I mean, you've always had this, but when did you start actively reading? Because you're an architect by trade, correct?
I'm an architect. I've got a blueprint on the table right now.
So you're a scientist, a scientifically
Scientist.
oriented.
I'm very grounded. Yeah,
Right.
I'm very grounded. You have to be an architect. But I think what happened is I kept getting all these dysfunctional friends around me, and they would be coming to me for problems, and I would answer them, and they would say, "Linda, how did you know that?" And I just would say, "Well, I know it to be true."
Hmm.
And that's one of my mantras. It's a feeling that comes from within. I know it to be true before I spout it out. And then I realized, wait a minute. Why is everyone having problems around me? And then another night, another dream. I have a dream that I'm walking in the fields, and Connie, you know my place. I love my field.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I'm walking and the sky is just a vivid blue, but it's laden with all these clouds. And there's a cloud that draws my attention. So I look up at that cloud, and it's moving so quickly that I can't get my eyes off of it. And all of a sudden, from the other side of the sky, I see a hand come out. And when I look at the cloud again, a baby is forming. And so I am just in awe of what's going on. When the hand to the left touches the baby's hand, the baby winds up twirling around, and I see the baby's face, and it was my face. And that's when I knew I had to do work to help everybody here traverse our difficult time here on Earth. So
it is, you mentioned I have all these dysfunctional friends, including me, and I have to laugh because did it ever, and I'm sure it occurred to you, you're a psychic, that you have the dysfunctional friends because you pull them to you because they need you.
Yes.
It's not a coincidence that you have a lot of dysfunctional friends, right? I mean, think about it.
No coincidence. And I think before I do every reading, I pray, I meditate, I pray, and my wish is that whoever comes to me for help gets healed in some way before our reading time is over again. So I'm not a psychic when I have a young girl say, "Oh, when am I going to get married?
Right, get married or have a baby.
How many kids am I going to have?"
Right.
I'm sorry, I don't do that. But
it's got to be tougher though for the stuff that you do have to do. How do you get rid of that when people leave? I mean, I was in such grief. I cried almost the entire time. And I remember you saying, I have to leave the room for a moment to recenter myself because you're so upset. How do you get rid of dealing with that negativity after somebody leaves you?
Some people I read for, I connect like this. You were one of them.
Yes, I know.
I mean, I knew what was going to happen before you even walked through my door. Others, they themselves have a disconnect from me because are they truly there to believe in me? Maybe yes, maybe no, or maybe they're afraid to open up their feelings. So they keep me more at a distance because everything I'm doing is energy. So I had a reading with a young woman, and I said, "Your father is here." And she said, "Well, I don't want to talk to him." And I said, "Well, then you don't want a reading."
Wow. Because that's the person that came through for you, right?
Right. And she said, "Well, why did you say that?" I said, "Honey, because I'm here to help heal your heart, but you need to open the door so I can help you. Otherwise, there's the door."
Right. And I think a lot of people are almost afraid.
Yeah, they are afraid. But you know what? It's just simply all energy. We're all energy. I have no sense of time. I can pick up on someone who's dead 2 hours or 22 years. It doesn't mean anything to me because I'm reading energy. So
how does it come to you, Linda?
This gift.
how does it come to you? I'm sorry, I overtalked you there. How does it come to you? I mean, it was so immediate with me, and you, so many things you said that you would have absolutely no way of knowing. Does it come in images? Does it come in words? Does it come in feelings? How does it come to you? Because you do read so many people. How does it come to you?
Every reading is different, but when people ask me and I say I hear something, I don't hear from my ears. I hear from behind me.
Mhm.
It's the same thing when I say I see somebody or an
Mhm.
image. I may not see the full face, but
Mhm.
perhaps they had an absolutely gorgeous smile and they show me their smile.
Mhm.
I don't see it from in front of me. I see it from behind me. But it really is just a knowing. If I can't say in my own heart, I know it to be true, I won't say it.
Mhm.
So, and I don't profess to have all the answers.
Mhm.
I will give the best I can at the moment. And sometimes if somebody asks me something pertinent to their life, I will get a blackboard with nothing on it.
Mhm.
And that means I'm not supposed to step on their journey here
Wow.
on earth because they have lessons to learn.
How do you tell
So-
somebody that though? Like, I can't read you right now. I mean,
I'm very forthright and honest, and I just say, I'm sorry, but they're giving me nothing. It's
okay.
because it's your life path. You have choices to make. So
Mhm.
your choices will change the outcome.
Mhm.
So that's how I do it.
Mhm.
Now, why do I see poetry around you?
E. Cummings. I want to get a book on E. Cummings. His quote, and I can't quote it directly, about the stars staying apart in the sky because I hold your heart, my heart holds your heart. E. Cummings. And somebody I know is dying, and I hold his heart. I hope I hold his heart. But I just looked for a book by E. Cummings. So yeah.
Well, those on the other side do know.
Yes. Isn't
So,
that
see,
weird?
that's a good example.
Yeah.
It's in your energy. I hear it in your voice. I'm looking at your pretty face,
Oh,
and it just comes to me.
well, it's funny. I was in Barnes and
So-
Noble yesterday. Let me take my hearing aid just died. Let me just take it out. It's annoying me. I was in Barnes and Noble yesterday looking for a book by E. Cummings. I'm not particularly fond of him, but that's a beautiful poem. When I was at your home, and your lovely home in the country, I asked, there's another example. You're very truthful. I asked, can I bring a tape recorder? Because this was 15 years ago. And you said, yeah, but it doesn't always work in this room. So my nephew, who's a singer, same guy that lost his twin, had a professional tape recorder. He put fresh batteries in it. He put fresh tape in it. He handed it to me. He said, knock yourself out. Keep it as long as you need. It was an expensive piece of equipment. We tested it in your driveway. My husband was with me, testing, worked fine. We get up into your room, and Lou says hi, by the way, his face was in a panic because he knew how important this was to me. And he's pushing that darn recorder button. He's like, it's not working. It's not working. I said, well, she did say, we go outside. He was devastated. I said, I'll take notes. So he leaves and he goes outside, and while I'm in your room, the beautiful room, by the way, it's very peaceful. There's candles, there's lights. It's a beautiful room, beautiful space. He's outside, he pushes the tape recorder on and it works. He's like, dang, but she did tell you it might not work. So I took a lot of notes. Another thing you said to me, which I think people get psychic blocks. You'll tell them something, they'll go, no. And then they leave. It's like, oh, crap.
Psychic
Yes,
amnesia.
right. What do they call
Yes.
that? Mental block or something? Oh, yeah, that's it.
Psychic amnesia.
Yeah, psychic amnesia. You'll ask a question like, no. But I had those moments, and it resonated. One was even a year later. I was looking at my notes, and somebody was having an eye problem, and you had said, get your mother to check her eyes. I did go home that day and say, Mom, did you check your eye? She has retinal problems because she's diabetic. Yeah, I've checked my eyes. Totally forgot about it. And I'm in New York at a business meeting and realized, when did I last write this tablet? There is, Mom, she's taken to a retinologist now, So it's that kind of thing, that kind of forward thing. What was your most interesting reading, I would have to say, that somebody came through that was unexpected maybe, or you have so many readings, I know.
This is a personal experience that I had.
Mhm.
I was 28 and my fiance had passed away through a fall.
Oh,
And so, I grieved for about a year and then I went on with my life and of course got married, had my children. But I believe it was almost 10 years later and I couldn't get him out of my mind, morning, noon, and night.
mhm.
And I said to myself, okay, I've got to find his father, not his mother, his father. He had never met me because this was way back in the 70s. So I called a friend of mine who was a DA and she said, well, Linda, let me see if I can find him. And 5 minutes later, she said, his brother is a teacher about 30 minutes away from you. Here's his number. So my fiance was from California. And so I called and the brother answered. I explained who I was, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Linda, your timing is impeccable. My father just arrived an hour ago from California. He's going to want to meet you. So we met. I fell in love with him. He fell in love with me. And I made the trip out to California to go to the cemetery. He was driving, massive cemetery. I knew when to take a right. I knew when to take a left. I knew go around the rotary. He parked the car. He was still in it. I got out and I went right to Tom's grave. And when I looked down, I could see him in the grave. And I'll call him my father-in-law. He was on one side of me, a girlfriend on the other. And all of a sudden I felt Tom come toward me to hug me. And of course I was in hysterics. Everybody was crying. Very, very hard, very profound, just for the fact that I could look down and see him lying there in the coffin. Fast forward, the father and I were friends right until the very last day of the father's life. But after I left California and I came home, his father went once a week to Tom's grave and laid down flowers from me to Tom. And I didn't understand it at the time, but it was a gift from the grave that I had his father and a gift to his father that I helped heal his heart. That's my
because that's young. That's, losses are brutal at any time, but young losses, an unexpected loss, a fall. I mean, the young guy, a fall took him out. Yeah. That's awful.
He was 34. I was 28.
Oh,
so
God, that's so young. That's so young. Did it? I don't like to talk about closure. I don't like to talk about it, but it certainly had to give you a sense because he was an unexpected death. No time to say goodbye. Yes. That had to give you a feeling that was your goodbye, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love predicting new life. I had an incident where I was reading for a woman in my office here. I had no idea her daughter was in the car sitting there in my driveway. And I looked at her and I said, your daughter's pregnant. No, she isn't. Yes, she is.
And she didn't tell you yet.
She isn't.
Yeah, spill the beans.
And it's gonna be a boy. And she said, well, I'll have to ask her, but I'm sure she would tell me. I said, I'm sorry, but she's pregnant. Whoops. It's a boy. Congratulations, Grammy. And so she left and she called me afterwards. Linda, how did you know? My daughter didn't even know. She went the next week.
Well, that was good because she had an excuse. Good. She had an excuse. Mom, I didn't know. I didn't tell the psychic first. What is
so that's the good part.
A lot of psychics are like, can you read your family? Or I mean, is that too close? Like your son, your daughter who saves every wildlife. What was it? Got a turkey now in the world? Every time I see a picture of her, she's with some weird wildlife. It's like, why isn't it biting her? But can you read them? Or is that like your
They really are too close. Plus, my daughter is psychic. So all of a sudden she's really interested and wants to know. And she'll call me, Mom, will you give so-and-so a reading? What do you think of this, Mom? Et cetera, et cetera. So, but no, I can't. I get little hints that are only passed down in my family. If my left ear rings, I'm going to hear bad news from a family member. If my right ear rings, it's good news. That's about all the other side gives me.
You're getting photo.
Thank you very much.
You're getting photo bombed by your dog. He's so cute.
Oh.
Your dog, right? He's listening. He's listening. Oh my gosh. That's so cute. That's so cute. Everybody who's working on Zoom from home gets fun. Like then you see cats walking across keyboards, and he just stood up when you started talking about your daughter. So what is the most difficult reading? Who would be some of the more difficult read circumstance wise? Not somebody, well, my husband lived to be 88 and he died, but circumstance wise, what would be the most difficult reading for you?
I have done murders.
Oh.
I have done murders. I have one murder through one side of my family was very close. And I said, oh my God, I just, why? Because I was actually trying to work on a bank. And I kept feeling a spirit behind me, angry, pushing me. Hey you. And I'm thinking, oh my God, who is this? This doesn't feel good. I took a break and I went to my computer, and my cousin had sent me an email that her best friend had just been murdered. And I said, oh God, I have to call her up. This was the hardest thing I've ever done, because the murdered girl showed me exactly what happened and how she ran through her house, and her husband came after her with a knife and a hammer. And at the end of my vision, I saw the girl curled up in a fetal position with a blow to the head on a side porch. And that is how the police found her. And then and my cousin kept saying, how can you see this? I said, because that's what I do.
Yeah.
It's my gift.
Yeah.
And
you still consider it a gift, even though you see some horrible images.
I see some horrible images, but I saw the gentleman, the husband and wife, the wife that was killed, they actually lived across the street from my mother. So I called my mother, and my mother said, oh yeah, the husband who did the murdering was outside and he's mowing the lawn. And I went, what? Well, and I said, and where were you, Mom? She said, well, I was mowing the lawn. I said, what? Did he look at you? And she said, yes. I gave him a dirty look. I said, dirty look? Why didn't you call the state police?
Did he take off, or was he still there after he murdered his wife? Was he an immediate suspect? Was he an immediate?
He was the suspect.
So,
yes,
and yet he was out mowing his lawn.
Out mowing his lawn. So all of a sudden, fast forward, one day went by and I'm in yoga class and I'm upside down in some position, and all of a sudden I yell, oh my God, he's dead in the woods. And everybody looked at me and I said, he hung himself in the woods.
He did.
Nobody wanted to lay next to me in yoga class. I can tell you that.
I don't believe them. This lunatic is shouting out, somebody's dead in the woods away from me. But I find it fascinating, and something is simple. It's funny. It doesn't have to be great revelations, because when I came to you myself, my brother had died of a terrible cancer, and it was months and months, and he just laid in bed. It gave him a stroke, and you couldn't touch him. He was filled with tumors. And 6 months after that, my daughter died. And when I came to you, you pointed, you had, oh, I thought you were crazy. You had scone mix on your kitchen counter before we went upstairs. And you went, I don't know why he's doing that, but he's pointing to that box of scone mix. Why do you think he's doing that? And I went, I don't know why he's doing that. What's wrong with you? And I'm thinking, did I come to the right woman? So I got home and I mentioned it. And my mother said, oh, I took him scones once a week. Well, he was sick. You know, he used to love cranberry orange scones. And I'm like, Tony, could you have given me something? You know, I asked him to send me a sign, not scone mix. I'm just scone mix, you know? But it's just,
That's life.
yeah, it's life.
That's
It's
life.
a simple thing. It's a simple thing that actually said, I am here. I am here.
Life
And
is full. Life is full of simplistic
yeah,
things that
yeah,
set us apart from each other, like the
yes,
stone mix.
your scone mix. Yeah, you and your
So,
scone mix.
And the reason why, you've gone through so much tragedy is because you are supposed to be doing the work in the community that is close to your heart, and because you are supposed to take care of your mother.
Yes, Linda.
So
Caregiving is very tough. Yeah,
it's very hard.
It's so tough. It's so tough. She, you know, people with dementia can be funny as heck sometimes, though. So I try to look for those little things. She can be funny as heck, but it's frustrating and it's sad. It's sad to watch someone you love. And a bit is she's scared. She knows sometimes she comes to enough to know sometimes she's losing it, and it gets her scared. We just had a psychic medium who was taped right before you. And you know my daughter well, because you know you've been in touch with her enough. And he turned around before he left, and he knew my daughter had passed, and he said, your daughter's around you. I said, well, thank you for that. He said, but she is really pissy about something you're doing. I'm like, I can't keep anything a secret. You know, I'm like, yeah, that's her. She's pissy. And I'm thinking, oh yeah, I remember what I did. You know what I'm saying? I'll never tell anybody, but she knows. He's like, she's really pissy. I said, that's her. That's her, really pissy. So we laughed about that. So are you doing readings? I got a reading from you not too long ago. It's very right on. Unfortunately, it's tied into that with the person that you told me about is the person I was thinking of that E.E. Cummings poem for. But you didn't know. So are you doing many readings? I mean, I know people, you have a beautiful website. And I know that you are known in the community, because when I couldn't find that massive house that you were set back on all that ground, I stopped at the post office and he knew who you were. It's like the post office down the street. Keep going. So are you doing many readings now, or with COVID?
I still am doing readings. I try to slow down. So I won't do too many because it is very exhausting and I want to be my best. And as you know, I've been a caretaker here to my husband for
long time,
however many years. So that has slowed me down along with the COVID. So, but
do you mind if we?
I don't see people.
Well, I could understand that, because with his health issues, you just don't need somebody bringing it in. If you want, I'm sorry, Linda.
No, you're right. I can't.
Oh, yeah, you can't.
I can't have people here.
Okay. So, do you mind if we give out your website and your information in case people do what you do? And by the way, Linda does distance readings too. She does phone readings. So if you're in Connecticut or lower Massachusetts, she lives up in Massachusetts, or any of the tri-state areas, Linda will do phone reading for you. That's correct, right? Yeah.
I have Rhode Island and Chicago today.
Oh,
I've
really?
read for Germany, England, Spain.
Holy moly.
Saudi Arabia, all over the place. And it's all the same because it's energy. So I do go international. I find it intriguing.
It's like your spirits talk to you different languages. But that is interesting.
Oh, don't even say that, because I have Russian friends and they do. I will come up with a Russian word. And he'll say, how did you know that? And I go, I don't know.
Spasiba. That if you're talking to the person in Chicago, did they ask him how the darn weather's going to be? Because I got to fly out Friday. Like,
oh God, I will.
Get me a weather report and send me an email. So Linda, would you tell us your website and how people get a hold of you, your email or your website, whatever you'd like to share?
Yes. First, my name is Linda Merkel, and that's Merkel. So you can access me on Google that way, because the web address is really quite long, but it's B, like in boy, Linda, and then it's blessing at AOL.com. That's my email.
Mhm.
And then the web address is psychic readings with an S on it by medium.com.
Mhm. Okay.
Send me an email. Please don't pay ahead of time because I prefer people hang on to their money until we schedule.
Get a schedule? Right, okay. Yeah,
Yes,
I don't blame
and
you.
above all else, don't tell me anything personal, and then we're all good.
Right. And like I said, everybody thinks, oh, these people can look things up. Well, I wasn't on Facebook 15 years ago. I didn't share information 15 years ago. And the most important thing I forgot to tell the people out there, you probably never hear. The reason I met Linda was because I was going into grief counseling with a regular psychologist. And a psychologist said, I'm going to ask you something. Are you seeing a psychic? And I'm like, a psychologist is asking me to see a psychic. Wow. I mean, a person of science is asking me, would you see a psychic? Because I had another client that she managed to help. And I'm like, I'm open to anything. But that tells you how good Linda is, because how many mental health professionals tell you to go see a psychic while they're treating you? It worked. It worked.
Thank you.
It was very interesting. It was very important. And we've stayed friends for 15 years now. So
yes, we have.
Yes, we have it. I love you, Linda.
I love you very much too.
I hope to see you.
And thank you. Thank you for this.